And hello there. It is Monday, and we are finally here in historic Morristown, where George Washington slept. Here's George now. And it's a lovely, lovely setting. Once a year, of course, during this time, they set this up. For many years when I was young, used to come here so we could walk around today. And for the last few days, as a matter of fact, there has been fine discovery. We will now explore the vintage lines. It's glorious. Here we go. Okay, you know the flag that I wave. I always say, well, don't cover the lines, don't embolden the lines and make them thicker unless you want to change them, because there's that golden moment when the lines first say what it is. And, you know, I say don't cover them over. And if you do, don't try to redraw them. Accent away from the lines. Anyway, so what do? Now you want to just draw a box. Here's the example of vintage lines. We have our two examples going to show you. There's going to be two like box houses, and we have our guy and the sun in the sky, and he has a shadow. Now you'll notice that there's no shadow on the box house where there should be, but that's not the way I really see it. I don't think you have to follow the rules, and I'm offering my own interpretation of how I see this particular thing for this example. It's very basic, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now with that. So that fits. But you'll see two different examples. And now what I mean, the vintage line is this. Vintage line is the first lines. The box. This says a box house. This is a house. Okay, certainly very simple. But now it's pretty plain, kind of, you know? It needs to be there a little bit more, perhaps. So how do you do that without emboldening the lines? Well, the vintage line, we call it that because they're the original lines. But you know something? It's got, you know, you can draw lines not around the lines, but with the lines, next to the lines, on both sides of the lines, a little bit, a little here, a little there, you know? And you might cross the line, but you're not, you know, drawing over the line. And you can see the example on that other one, like this one here. And it just is more present there, I think. Of course, if you want to just, you know, draw the box, then that's what you're going to do. That's fine. But the point here is that, my discovery here is that now if you have these other lines that surround the vintage lines, the original ones that kind of join in, these great lines where some other lines around it, each line is its own, you know, vintage line, sort of. Which means that you don't need the original lines. You can accent the character of the shape and blending shapes, circles, squares, triangles, blending them. Then this is like the first, I believe, idea I can grab onto as far as my ultimate goal of, you know, removing the lines and having them, you know, just painting without the lines. And the vintage line concept of the lines around it, and then erasing the original lines, is the first view of a path in that direction. And so I'm happy about that, for sure.